Your brain was built for a savanna, not a stock market. For millions of years, our survival depended on immediate, instinctive reactions to physical threats and scarce resources. Today, those same ancient survival mechanisms are misfiring in the complex world of global finance, turning ancestral wisdom into modern-day liabilities that drain your wealth silently and efficiently without you even noticing. Seven traps hardwired and visible, running in the background of every financial decision you have ever made. These cognitive biases are the ghosts of our evolutionary past, lurking within the neural pathways of the modern investor. To master your money, you must first master the biological machinery that processes value, risk, and reward, beginning with the most dangerous instincts we possess. Trap 1 is loss aversion. You hold losing investments too long and sell winning ones too early because you are fleeing pain, not chasing gains. In the wild, losing a resource meant death, while gaining one was merely a bonus. This asymmetry forces you to gamble on bad odds just to avoid admitting a loss, sabotaging your long-term portfolio growth. This same hand that pulls back from a profit will cling to a sinking ship with desperate strength. We are biologically programmed to feel the sting of a loss twice as sharply as the joy of a win. This creates a psychological paralysis where we refuse to cut our losses, hoping for a recovery that the cold data says will never come. Trap 2 is present bias. Our ancestors survived by consuming what was available right now, as tomorrow was never guaranteed. This makes the future feel abstract and unimportant compared to the immediate gratification of the present. Your brain treats your future self like a stranger, making it incredibly difficult to prioritize long-term savings over the dopamine hit of a current purchase. Every impulse purchase is this trap firing correctly, exactly as it was designed to function in a world of scarcity. When you choose a small reward today over a much larger wealth accumulation decades from now, you are simply following an ancient script. Overcoming this requires more than just willpower. It requires a fundamental restructuring of how you visualize your future reality. Trap 3 is anchoring. This is a mental flaw where we rely too heavily on the first piece of information offered, the anchor, when making decisions. Whether it is a high initial price or a historical stock high, that first number tethers your judgment, making any subsequent lower number seem like an incredible bargain, regardless of its actual intrinsic value or market worth. A ridiculous original price makes the discount feel real, even when both numbers were invented by the same marketer to manipulate your perception of value. By setting a high anchor, sellers exploit your brain's tendency to compare rather than calculate. You walk away thinking you have saved money, while the seller has successfully guided you to the exact price point they intended. Trap 4 is social proof under pressure. In the prehistoric past, following the tribe was the safest way to survive a predator. Today, that instinct manifests as herd mentality in the markets. When you see everyone else buying a specific asset, your brain interprets their collective action as high-quality information, often ignoring the fundamental warning signs that are hiding in plain sight. Everyone buying is treated as information, leading the rest of the flock to follow blindly toward the cliff edge. This feedback loop creates bubbles that eventually burst with devastating consequences. The comfort of the crowd provides a false sense of security, making it feel safer to be wrong with everyone else than to be right and stand completely alone in your conviction. It is usually just everyone else's fear, dressed as confidence. When you follow the crowd, you inherit their collective blind spots and their inevitable panic. True financial mastery requires recognizing these 7 traps and consciously overriding the ancient clockwork of your mind. Only by understanding your biological biases can you build a secure future that transcends the primitive impulses of the savannah. Trap 5. The sunk cost trap. This is the psychological impulse to continue an endeavor once an investment in money, effort, or time has been made. Even when the jar is clearly broken, your brain demands you keep filling it, terrified that stopping now would mean admitting the previous coins were wasted. You aren't investing, you're mourning. Your brain keeps funding failing plans just to avoid admitting the earlier money is gone. You double down on a bad project or a crashing stock because the ego cannot process a total loss. It clings to the lucky horseshoe of hope, throwing good money after bad in a desperate attempt to rewrite a story that has already ended poorly. Trap 6. Overconfidence after a win. Success is a dangerous teacher. When the market rises or a risky bet pays off, we mistake luck for skill. We start to believe we can control the chaos. But just off the edge of the table, the atmosphere is changing. A single win doesn't change the underlying probability of the game. The math hasn't changed. The physics of the market and the reality of your balance sheet remain cold and indifferent to your recent streak. You are running faster, convinced you found a shortcut to the horizon, but you're still on the same mechanical track. The illusion of momentum is often just your pulse racing under the pressure of a perceived winning streak. The self-story has. You've convinced yourself that you are the exception to the rule. This is the moment of peak vulnerability, where the belief in your own invincibility leads to the largest, most catastrophic errors. When the display finally catches up to reality, the distance between your narrative and the truth becomes a chasm you cannot easily cross. Trap 7. Hedonic adaptation. This is the biological ceiling on satisfaction. No matter how much you earn or acquire, your baseline level of happiness quickly resets. The maze of wealth has a cruel design. The more gold you find, the more gold you require just to feel the same level of contentment you had at the start. The treadmill has no finish line built in. We chase the next milestone, the next digit in the bank account, assuming it will finally bring peace. But the brain is wired to scan for the next deficit. Unless you recognize this loop, you will spend your entire life running toward a destination that moves exactly as fast as you do. Close. None of these traps are a character flaw. They are evolutionary leftovers, survival mechanisms that kept our ancestors alive in a world of physical scarcity. In the modern financial landscape, however, these same instincts are liabilities. Recognizing them is the first step toward reclaiming control over your financial future. You must write your own rules. Wealth is built by knowing exactly where your brain is rigged to fail you. It is the result of systems designed to counteract your own biology. By closing the book on impulsive reactions and opening one based on disciplined strategy, you move from being a victim of your instincts to a master of your capital. The choice is yours. Imagine a state of equilibrium. No longer tipped by the weight of fear or the pull of greed, your decisions become calculated and calm. The scales of your financial life finally find their center, reflecting a mind that has learned to weigh evidence over emotion and long-term stability over short-term gratification. This is true financial clarity. The flickering uncertainty of the past is replaced by a single, steady flame. It represents the consistency of a plan that accounts for human error. It doesn't roar with the heat of a gamble, nor does it gutter in the wind of a market crash. It burns with the quiet confidence of someone who understands the game and their own role within it. There is a door between you and the wealth you seek. Beside it hang 7 keys, each representing a bias you have now identified. For years, these keys remained unused while you tried to force the lock with effort alone. But effort without understanding is just friction. The door remains shut until you choose the right tool for the lock. One key finally being lifted off its hook. This is the moment of transition. It is the decision to stop reacting and start observing. By picking up the key of self-awareness, you begin the process of unlocking a different kind of prosperity, one that isn't just about the numbers on a screen, but about the freedom that comes from self-mastery. Dawn breaks calmly over a quiet, orderly desk. The shadows of the night, filled with the ghosts of bad decisions and missed opportunities, recede. In the clear light of morning, the path forward is visible. The clutter of the savannah brain is cleared away, leaving space for the deliberate work of building a legacy that lasts. In a world of noise and constant motion, a single lit window glows steady. While the rest of the city sleeps or chases the next trend, you are operating on a different timeline. You have mastered the 7 traps. You are no longer just a participant in the market. You are the architect of your own enduring success.